to control diabetes. If I say cure, everybody is so curious and asking so many questions, can we cure? So let's first control, always try to, control the disease. Then we have a handle for it. Then we can work on cure for any kind of a disease. So let's welcome Lavanya Garu. So thank you for joining Manavata for volunteering with us. Thank you very much. You could please start the session. Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone. First of all, thanks to Manavata for making me a part of this. And it's so wonderful to be able to connect globally all over the world. So I think we will definitely go into this will be a more of a practice oriented session. And I hope, and I don't know like how many of you regularly practice yoga, but everybody is not online. But I would just suggest that there is always a ground rule for yoga is you are the best judge of your body, right? Do not attempt something if your body is not cooperating. Do not force it. You should, it means it's an indication you have to put some more work before you actually come to that stage of yoga. So today we are going to talk about controlling of diabetes. As ma'am rightly said, it's always better to prevent than trying to cure. Somehow diabetes has almost become like a pandemic all over the world. And Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, also has started this mission with Department of Ayush, basically trying to make India Madhumeha Mukta Bharat, MMB. The project itself is called MMB, which is being driven all over India at very grassroots level, where we who are tied up to Ayush are trying to run this MMB, Madhumeha Mukta Bharat module designed by Ayush, so that people are more aware of it. I will not get into the medical details of what diabetes is and how it comes and all, because I don't think time will permit us to do that. But one thing I would say is definitely it's always good to take care. If you are diabetic, please always consult a diabetologist. Okay? Because a lot of, for us who do yoga, there is this unseen thing that because I'm doing yoga, I am impervious to everything. No, nothing can touch me. But that is not true. The advantage of doing yoga is even if you get something, it will cure very easily and your body will be able to cope up and the medication will work nicely with you because your entire body is already a very healthy, fertile ground. So if you have been diagnosed with diabetes, please always consult a doctor and take their suggestion. But where does yoga help? Yoga helps, as I said, in keeping it in control and also maintaining your sugar levels in this thing. So again, I would say is if at any point of time, if you feel you're not comfortable, you cannot do a particular asana or you cannot practice something, please be a self-judge for yourself. So without any further ado, I always start the session with prayer and always end the session with prayer. And the prayer has nothing to do with being religious. It is not affiliated to anything. In fact, this is a very beautiful prayer which says that, it talks about the relationship between a guru and a shishya. It says that both the guru and the shishya should be enlightened. They both should be nourished. They both should be protected. And they both should not have any enmity or animosity between them. So it is basically requesting that kind of power to the both guru and the shishya. So it has nothing to do with any religion or it is no religious connotation to it. If anybody knows the mantra, they can sing along, or otherwise we'll just start the session with this wonderful Shanti mantra. Is everybody ready? Thumbs up? Okay, wonderful. Let's start. And seating posture, you can try to sit in Sukhasana or you can try to this thing. And if anybody has any difficulty sitting on the floor, please feel free to sit on the chair and do as well. Do not force yourself कि मुझे नीचे बैठना है, then you will lose the advantage of doing yoga. You can also sit on the chair and do as well if you have any other physical difficulty. Okay, let's start. The time is 6:08 IST. We'll go up till 7 o'clock. So that's a good 40 minutes of yoga session. Ma'am, should I stop? I mean, can I take 40 minutes or should I stop for questions? When should I stop basically?
Till 4 o'clock you can take.
4 o'clock in the sense you're in which
7
time?
o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Okay. Fine, good.
7 o'clock we can start this.
Everybody come to Namaskara Mudra, please. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we will divide the session into 5 parts. The first part is called breathing. The second part is loosening. The third part is asana. Fourth part is pranayama. And fifth part is meditation. Okay, so let's start with breathing. The first breathing, very simple breathing. This is called hand in, hand out breathing. Keep your hands right in front of you. Close your eyes. Your awareness, whenever you're doing yoga, awareness is the most important thing. So your awareness should be on your breath. Breathe in, hands out. With awareness on your breath, breathe out, hands center. Be very slow, be very gentle with your body. Be very slow, then only you will experience the actual effect. Breathe in, hands out. Breathe out, hands in. Breathe in, hands out. Breathe out, hands in. Very good. Rest your hands on your arms. Sorry, on your knees. Very good. Now, if again be a self-judge. If you can come to this pose, so this is how you should be. Okay. So what is the distance between both the knees? It should be almost your arm length. Okay. Measure the arm between your knees. Take arm length between your knees. Very good. So this is how your posture is. This is called tiger breathing. Okay. Please observe me once. You can keep your feet like this or like this. Anywhere is fine. If you're comfortable like this, you can keep like this or like this also. Please observe me. In this exercise, this is a double benefit exercise, breathing, because you also strengthen your spine and it is also good for diabetes. So what we do? We breathe in, look up and lower your abdomen down. It's as if you're trying to touch the abdomen to the ground. Breathe out, then arch up your abdomen up like this and look down. Breathe in, make a curvature of your spine and look up, look at the roof. Breathe out, rise up your spine and look at your navel. One more round. Breathe in, arch up your back and look up. Try looking at the roof. Breathe out, arch up your back and look at your navel. Let us do it 2 more times because this is a very beneficial form of breathing, tiger breathing. Breathe in, look up, arch your back down. It's as if your abdomen is trying to touch the ground. Breathe out, arch your back up and look at your navel. One last time. Breathe in up. Breathe out, down. And arch your back up. Wonderful. So this is called tiger breathing. Apparently tigers breathe like this. Just one, this thing is all the yogic postures, most of them have been derived based on animals. So majority of the yoga postures either have names of animals or birds. Okay, very good. If you can sit in Vajrasana, please come to Vajrasana. Again, the benefits of Vajrasana are multifold. That's why it's called Vajrasana. Okay. Now we will do the third type of breathing, which is rabbit breathing. Okay, we try to breathe like a hare, a rabbit. This is called Shashankasana. So what do we do in Shashankasana? Okay. Form a namaskara above your head. Breathe in. Completely breathe out. And try putting your hands on the floor and try touching your forehead to the ground. But again, be your own self-judge and bend till wherever your body is permitting you to bend. Like this. This is actually a very wonderful breathing for diabetics because it tries to activate the pancreas. And especially if you have borderline diabetic or you are just been diagnosed with diabetes, this is a wonderful breathing which is called Shashankasana breathing or hare pose, hare. Apparently rabbit rests like this, so that's why the name rabbit. Try to be till whenever you can be. Once you feel I cannot be in more time, then you can gently get up. Come back to Vajrasana. Let us practice Shashankasana one more time. Hands above your head in Namaskara Mudra. Breathe out, bend down. Try touching your forehead to the ground. Normal breathing in final position. Breathe out. Come back to Vajrasana. Very good. Now let us learn the fourth type of breathing, which is actually Padottasana breathing or raised leg breathing. You can lie flat. Lie flat. Very good. Now suppose if you are sitting on a chair and continue sitting on the chair. Whenever I ask you to raise your leg, you can just raise your leg 90 degrees. Okay? Those who are lying down, please once observe before doing. Please observe once. This is called Padottasana breathing or raised leg breathing. Breathe in. Raise your leg straight up. Breathe out. Leg down. Then again, breathe in. Raise your left leg straight up. Be there for a while. Breathe out. Bend down. Let us all practice together. Very good. Close your eyes. Breathe in. Right leg up. Be there for a while. Breathe out. Right leg down. Breathe in. Left leg up. Breathe out. Left leg down. Let us repeat 2 more times on each side. Breathe in. Right leg up. Breathe out. Right leg down. Breathe in. Left leg up. Breathe out, left leg down. One last time. Breathe in, right leg up. Breathe out, right leg down. One last time, left side. Breathe in up. And breathe in, down. Breathe out, down. Okay? Let us all relax in Shavasana for a while. Relax in Shavasana. Always remember that in yoga, breath is the heart and soul of it. So whether you are practicing a very complicated asana or whether you are doing a simple asana, do not forget the breathing pattern. Breath and the asana together work like magic. So, and second important thing is be gentle with your body. Right? You have to treat your body with love and care. Because this is the most precious vehicle in the world. No other vehicle in the world is as precious as this vehicle is for the soul. So you have to be very gentle, very loving and very caring with the body. Very good. Now everybody turn towards your left side. You should never get up straight. You should always turn towards either towards your left or towards your right side only and get up. Even when you're getting up from bed also, you should turn to one side only and get up. You should not get up in a thak. A lot of people experience disc problems because of that. Now let us do some loosening practices. Very good. Again, these loosening practices, be your own judge. If you have any spinal problems, please avoid this. Do not do it. Spinal problems, slip disc or anything like that, do not do this. If you have back pain also, please do not do this. Especially if you are a very hypertensive person who has uncontrolled BP, please do not do it. You can lie down in Savasana and continue. Okay, very good. Legs 1 feet apart. Very good. So we will be doing Hastottanasana and Padahastasana in a simultaneous way. Okay, very good. Breathe in, arch back like this. Breathe out, down. Like a swing. Be like a swing. Breathe in, up. Breathe out, down. Breathe in up, arch back. Breathe out, down. Breathe in up. Breathe out, down. Continue. Breathe in up. Breathe out, down. Breathe in up. Breathe out, down. Breathe in up. Breathe out, down. Very good. Maintain the 1 feet gap between your feet. Hands by the side of your body. Again, for the next thing also, people with any back issues, spinal issues, please do not do it. Very good. Breathe in, right side. Breathe out, relax. Breathe in left side. Breathe out, relax. Now let us do it a bit faster. Breathe in right. Breathe in right. Breathe in right. Left. Right. Left. Right. Left. Now your stretch, your bending should be that you should feel a stretch in the sides. No, it's just not like this. You should stretch like this so that on the sides you will feel the stretch. Opposite. Continue, continue. Continue. Please continue. Come on, you should have experience a nice stretch on the sides. Wonderful. Very nice. Try doing light jogging. Let us loosen up the lower part of the body. Do jogging. Those who can raise their legs, please raise like this and try touching your elbow. Try kicking your elbow. Correct. Yes. Very good. Try kicking. Let us try straight kicks. Both hands in front of you. Kick the right arm with right leg. Again, be your own judge, please. Left arm, left, right, left, right, left. Now let us do cross kicks. Hands in front of you. Right leg, you hit your left hand. Cross kicks. Cross, right cross, left cross. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, now side kicks. Hands by the side, side. Try kicking sides. Try to touch your palm with your shins. Very good. Again, come back to jogging. Come back to jogging. Very good. Stretch your legs apart. We are in the loosening phase of the yoga session. Okay? Why we are loosening? Because then we can do the asanas without any cramps. Okay? Hands by the side of the body. Cross. Yes. Cross, straight. 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 Okay. Good. Come back to jogging. In the loosening phase, if you are not doing anything, you should at least do jogging. You should not keep your body idle. Okay. Now let us do something for our hands. Throw your hands out like this. Throw your hands to the side. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands down. Very good. Now, we are ready. We have completed the loosening phase of the yoga session. Now, there are lots and lots of loosening exercises. You don't have to stick to what you just learned here. There are lots of loosening exercises. You can do any of them. But I would always suggest that do not attempt asanas without doing breathing and loosening. That is when people say asanas are not working for me. I don't get any benefit from it. Or they will say after doing yoga, my pains have increased. You know, I got that problem, this problem. It is because you haven't conditioned the body properly to do asanas. So unless you are a very seasoned practitioner, please always do breathing exercises and loosening exercises and then only proceed for the asana session. Okay? Let us relax in Savasana, after which we will proceed for the asana phase of this yoga session. Lie down in Savasana. Relax. Close your eyes. In Savasana, the awareness should always be on the breath. Observe how you're breathing. Is your breathing relaxing? Observe your breath. Very good. Everybody please come to seating posture. Now, the key in controlling diabetes is at a very basic level is to basically activate the abdominal region. Okay, so there are different asanas which will help us in activating the abdominal region. So today mainly we will focus on those asanas. Okay, the first asana that we will be learning is, it actually has a very funny name. It's called Chakki Asana. You know, remember in ancient India, people used to do chakkis. They used to get pulses and they would put in this earthenware instrument called chakki, and people will do that. That is one of the best methods to control diabetes because it kind of like grinds all the abdominal organs. So please observe before doing. Spread your legs as wide as you can. If you are doing with somebody next to you, make sure you have sufficient distance between you both. Otherwise, you might end up hitting each other. So I would suggest one person sit forward and one person sit backward. You know, sitting with backs touching each other also, you will hurt each other. You should have sufficient gap between the two people in all directions because you'll be grinding your body. Very good. Observe, please. So you make a fist like this of your hand. Breathe in, breathe out, and you start from one toe. Go to other toe. Now, while going back, you should not fold your elbow. See, like this. I started with this toe. I went here. You should go back like this and come forward. You should not do like this. No. At any point of time, your hands should not bend at all. They should be like sticks. Please observe once. Started like this, went like this, went like this. Again, touch both the toes and go back. Touch both the toes and go back. You will literally feel that your stomach is moving. Continue. Please continue. This is also very good for anybody who wants to reduce their tummy. This is very good to burn all that extra fat around your tummy. Now reverse the direction. Go in the opposite direction, Chakki Asana. Come on. Continue. 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 Very good. Now we will relax in something called Sitila Dandasana. Spread your legs wide. Hands at the back. Look up. Close your eyes. This is called Sitila Dandasana relaxation, which is the relaxation pose for all sitting asanas. Any asana you do in sitting position, relaxation is always Sitila Dandasana. Any asana you do lying down, the relaxation pose is Savasana. Breathe in, breathe out. Maintain awareness on your breath. Asana awareness is very important. Very good. Now bring both your feet together. Hands by the side of your thighs. Hands by the side of your thighs. Okay. So the next asana that we will be learning is called Janu Sirshasana. Janu means thighs. Sirsha means head. It means touching your head to your thigh. That's what Janu Sirshasana means. So keep your right leg straight and take your left leg away from your body. Right leg should be straight. Left leg, depending upon your convenience, till wherever you can take it out. It is completely your flexibility. Okay, very good. Touch the left hand to the left toe. Now with right hand, make a rainbow around your head. Touch the bicep to the ear. And now touch the left hand. But please be your own judge. Be like that. And look right. Look towards the right. You will actually experience that one side a nice stretch and the other side your abdomen is quenching. Very good. Release your right hand. Release your left hand. Bring both feet together. Again, this asana is very good for people who want to lose tummy fat. Fat around the tummy. Let us repeat the opposite side. Keep your left leg straight. Take your right leg out. Touch your right hand to the right foot. And with left hand, make a rainbow around your head so that your biceps are touching your ears. Now finally touch your left hand to right hand. And look left. Look left, everybody, please. Very good. Release your left hand. Release your right hand. Again, both feet together. Okay. So this asana that we learned today is called Janu Sirshasana. Okay. The next asana that we will be learning is actually a super asana for diabetes, which is called Vakrasana. Vakra means twisted. So in this Vakrasana, we will literally twist our whole self. However, this Vakrasana is supposed to be learnt in stages. So today I will teach you all the basic simple stage. Okay? Because I don't know the yoga experience of the audience. So I'm going in a bit safe mode because I want all of you to be still be able to walk and stand up after the yoga session. So I'm just going basically on the first stage basis. But Vakrasana, for anybody who is diabetic, is a miracle type of an asana. And there's been actually a lot of research done on the relationship of Vakrasana to diabetes. Okay? So as always, please observe once. Okay? Keep one leg like this and other leg you fold here. Okay? Now whatever leg you have folded, that opposite hand you try to touch like this. This hand goes and you. So once you do this, it's like whatever abdomen was facing front, it will face to a side. Because of such a heavy twist, your pancreas gets stimulated. Now let us please learn it side by stepwise. If you are already a practitioner of Vakrasana, very good. Please go ahead. But who are new, please follow the steps. Very good. Keep one leg straight and the other leg this thing. That is why it is good to do Janu Sirshasana before Vakrasana, because your abdomen would have little bit, become loose. Okay, fold one leg up. Okay. Now whatever leg you have folded, the opposite hand you rise up. Okay. Now touch that elbow to the knee. Very good. If you are able to do till here also, it's fine. If you can go further down, try touching the hand to the ankle. Very good. Be your own judge. Now the other hand which was there, keep it exactly behind you. It should be touching your tailbone. Okay. Now look back. Looking back is very important. Please maintain. I'll keep a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Slowly bring your head normal. Release the hand which you have taken back. Release the other hand, raise it up, put it on the ground and release the leg. Okay. So what are the different areas which get affected by Vakrasana? The entire body, in fact. Your entire body gets an exercise with Vakrasana. Okay. Now let us repeat the opposite side. Raise the leg. Raise the opposite hand up. Touch the elbow to the knee. If you can, try touching the ankle. Take the other hand back. Look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, how do you come out of Vakrasana is very important. First, release your head. Then release the hand which you have taken back. Then release the hand with which you are holding. And then release the leg. Why is it very important? Because your body is twisted in a very uncommon way. It's not unnatural, it's an uncommon way. So if you try to release the way you want, you will definitely get cramps. So the way you get into the asana, you exactly come out of the asana in the opposite direction. Exact opposite. Then your body will nicely unfold itself like a rose. Okay? Let us just practice one more time. Raise your hand, raise one hand, touch the ankle, look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release your head, release the hand which was at the back, release the holding hand, release the leg. One quick time we'll do the opposite side as well. Hold the opposite leg. Raise the opposite hand. Touch your ankle. Look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release your head. Release the hand which was at the back. Release the holding hand and release the leg. Very good. Very quickly, just for a few seconds, relax in Sithila Dandasana. Both legs apart, hands at the back and look up. Very good. In lying pose, in lying down, we will learn 2 asanas which are especially very good for diabetes. The first one is called Pavana Muktasana. The other one is called Bhujangasana. Okay. And also whatever asanas you are learning today are good for diabetes as well as they are very good to control your weight. If anybody is trying to do weight loss or if anybody is trying to get a good shape around their abdomen, all these asanas are very good. And Pavana Muktasana especially is very good if you are having gastric issues. That's why the name itself is Pavana Mukta, means it releases the gas. So it is very good if you have experiencing gastric problems, acidity, indigestion and stuff like that. Regular practice of Pavana Muktasana helps in enhancing the digestive capacity of a person. Okay. Lie down on your back. Now again, Pavanamuktasana has various stages. Today let us learn the basic stage. Both feet together. Raise your right leg in the air and hold your right knee with both hands. Now, if you can, again be your own judge, please. Pull the right knee towards your chest. Try touching the knee towards your chest. If you can do up until here also, it's very good. Because when you pull it towards your chest, automatically your entire abdomen gets crushed. If you can, try touching your chin to the knee. Means you have to raise your head. Relax your head. Release the legs. Let us try the opposite. Raise the opposite leg up. Hold the knee with both your hands. Try touching your knee to your chest. If you can do that itself, it's very good. Your knee should be touching your chest. Now, if you can touch your chin to the knee. Release the head. Release the legs. Relax in Savasana. Let us just practice Pavanamuktasana one more time, then we'll proceed for Bhujangasana. Raise your right leg, hold it with both hands, pull the knee to the chest, and touch your chin to the knee. Always normal breathing in final position. Release your head, release your knee, opposite leg. Touch your knee to your chest, touch your chin to the knee. Normal breathing. Release the head and release the leg. Very good. Now roll over and lie down on your abdomen. We will be learning Bhujangasana. Again, Bhujangasana is one of the top class asana because of its innumerable benefits. Because of its innumerable benefits, Bhujangasana again is a top class asana. Now, Bhujangasana also we will learn all 3 stages today because I think people can catch it. Very good. Lie down with your chin on the floor. Hands by the side of your chest exactly. Not near the abdomen, not near the head, not near the hips. Exactly by the side of your chest. Both feet together. Now please follow the stages. Do not go for final stage at once. The first stage, gently raise your head and neck and look up. Only head and neck, please. Head and neck and look up. Breathe out, chin on the floor. Second stage, raise your head, neck and shoulders also and chest also up and look up. The second phase, you raise your head, neck and chest. Look up. Very good. Breathe out, chin on the floor. Now the final stage, be your own judge. Breathe in. Raise your head, neck, chest and abdomen also till the navel is in the air. Look up. In Bhujangasana, looking up is very important. That's what gives the desired curve to the spine. Slowly, abdomen on the ground, chest on the ground, finally chin. Let us practice the 3 stages one more time. Breathe in. First stage, only raise your head and neck and look up. Chin on the floor. Second stage, head, neck and chest and look up. Chin on the floor. Third stage, you raise your abdomen also up so that your navel is in the air and look up. Again, this asana is very good to reduce the abdominal fat and to give a good structure and shape to the body. Relax. Now, how do you relax in this position? You know, it's called crocodile pose. So apparently crocodile relax is the best way. So what you do, spread your legs and form a bow like this with both your hands and put your cheek in the middle of the hands. Actually, when you're very stressed, lying down like this de-stresses you immediately. Try it. Rather than lying down the other way, lying down like this is an instant relaxation. Spread your feet apart. Cross both your arms so that one shoulder, your right hand is touching left shoulder and left hand is touching right shoulder. And in the V junction, put your chin. Close your eyes and breathe in. This is called Makarasana or crocodile pose. This is the default relaxation position for all asanas done on the abdomen. Very good. Then how do you get up from this side? How do you get up like this is do not get up straight. First come to a side like this, like Sri Mahavishnu. And then taking support of the hands, please get up. Please do not raise like a cobra. You will immediately grab your back. Come to the side like how Sri Mahavishnu sleeps on the Seshapanku. And then get up. Very good. So we have seen asanas. Basically, we have seen, I think, 5 asanas or something like that today. But all these asanas, as you might have observed, they are very much in line to enhance the pancreas, to make it more active. And as a byproduct, it is also advisable for people who have weight, who want to control weight and who wants to control tummy. Of course, weight loss, diet is a major part of weight loss. I mean, you cannot do all yoga session and go on binge eating. It's counterproductive. So for weight loss, along with exercise, diet is a very important thing, which is a totally separate thing. But doing all these diabetic exercises also helps you in reducing your weight. Okay, I think we have 8 more minutes left. So I'll quickly cover pranayamas. As I understand, you people have been doing yoga sessions for a while. So one of the most advantageous pranayamas for diabetes are Anulom Vilom pranayama and Bhramari pranayama. Anulom Vilom and Bhramari are the best pranayamas for controlling diabetes. There's a big theory behind it, which you don't need to go into. So let us start practicing Anulom Vilom pranayama. For Anulom Vilom pranayama, we adopt something called Nasika Mudra, which is like this. With your right hand. Always with your right hand. Okay. We only use the thumb and the ring finger actually. So how do we do the this thing? So with the thumb, close your right nostril. Exhale through left. Inhale through left. With ring finger, close the left nostril. Exhale through right. Inhale through right. Close right with thumb. Exhale through left. Inhale through left. Close left with ring finger. Exhale through right. Inhale through right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Release the mudra. Now the count for Anulom Vilom Pranayama is 9 to 21 times. 9 rounds to 21 rounds you can do. Minimum is 9 rounds. One round means one right exhale inhale and one left exhale inhale is one round. Okay, when you cover both the nostrils, then it becomes one round. Okay, just by doing right side exhale inhale is not one round. So you close the left, exhale inhale through right. Close right, exhale inhale through left. That is one round. Like that, minimum of 9 rounds to maximum of 21 rounds you can do. Last, we will learn the Bhramari Pranayama or Humming Bee Pranayama. Humming Bee Pranayama, apart from being very good for diabetes, it is also very good for your heart. Very good for hypertensive people. Actually, regular practice of Bhramari Pranayama makes your heart very strong. Your heart, and once that is strong, obviously your BP also will be under control. So if anybody is having BP or cardiac issues, please first consult a doctor. If your doctor says do yoga, then in yoga you can do Bhramari Pranayama. Now how will we do Bhramari Pranayama? There are many ways to do it. But the basic is, please once listen. You roll your tongue inside in such a way that the tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. Close your mouth. You don't have to keep your mouth open. Close your mouth and twist your tongue so that the tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. And then try producing the sound na, nadaswaram na. Okay? You roll over your tongue and produce the sound na. Okay? Now how should your hands be? You use both the index fingers and try closing the ear. But where? You know, side by the ear you see a little flap. That flap you should close. Do not put your index finger inside the ear. No, you will damage your eardrum. You should just close that flap. The flap is like the gate. So you just close the flap of the ears, roll your tongue inside and breathe in and produce the na sound while breathing out. That is the correct scientific way to do Bhramari Pranayama. Let us all practice. First all, don't close your ears, then you can't hear me. First close your eyes. Keep your mouth closed. Roll your tongue inside so that the tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. Let us first do once normally without using our hands. Breathe in. While breathing out, produce na sound. Na. Nadaswaram na. Now close your ears. Remember, only close the flap of the ear, please. Do not poke your eardrum. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time, breathe in. Breathe out. Release the mudra. Take your hands away. Put your hands on your arm, on your thighs. Keep your eyes closed and observe the sensations. If you keenly observe, you will observe vibrations in your body. Now slowly your mind is going into a meditative state. That is why pranayama should always be followed by meditation. Keep your eyes closed. Enjoy the absolute silence of the mind. In this absolute positive frame of mind, give yourself a positive affirmation. You can say affirmations like, I'm very healthy, I'm very peaceful, I respect myself, I accept others as they are. So take pause, because your mind is in the most positive frame of mind now. So whatever affirmations you will take, they will have the most positive energy associated with them. Enjoy the calmness and silence of your mind. We will close this session by praying for the well-being of every charachara, moving and non-moving things in this universe. So if you know the prayer, you can repeat it after me. The meaning of this prayer is, all the human beings in this world should be happy. Nobody should be feared. Nobody should experience fear. And the entire universe must be experiencing good wishes. These wonderful mantras given in the yogic world signify the bond between human beings and the universe. We are a very small part of this magnanimous universe. We are very, very tiny part. And our everyday's existence depends on the well-being of the universe. So as yoga students, we pray for its well-being. Come to Namaskara Mudra. Om Sarve Bhavan Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Now slowly bow down to the Mother Earth, which is the source for our mere existence. So we bow down to this Mother Earth. Slowly rub your palms. Give a gentle massage to your face. And now you can open your eyes. You know, yoga itself is yoga is just not some asanas. Yoga is a way of living. Yoga helps us appreciate the nature around us more. It helps us appreciate the environment. It helps us appreciate everything we have in our life. Our relationships, our wealth, our property, our health, our body. It gives us a sense of appreciation for everything in our life. Because we get all this in our life because of our good karma, because of the divine, and because of our own efforts. So yoga is a way of living. It's a huge philosophy in itself, which has been given to us by great rishis and munis. And yoga has no religion. It has nothing to do with any religion. Everybody in the world can practice yoga. And I thank and I hope this was a useful session for each and every one of you. You can find more videos about our company Param Jyoti Yoga on Facebook and also on YouTube. And my name is Lavanya Gola. So on YouTube you can go, or on Facebook, and look for Param Jyoti Yoga. And I hope you all continue your journey in yoga. Bhavani ma'am, I give it.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you please, if you have any questions, you can ask her now.
Hi, thank you, Lavanya. Session. I have a question.
Yeah.
For a person who's trying to lose weight like me, it's usually said that we should incorporate diet and exercise in our lives.
Yes.
And for exercise, they usually say cardio, strengthening, etc.
Yes.
So if we have diet and yoga in our daily life, is that complete, or should we also add cardio?
So first of all, ma'am, it's always very essential you understand the reason behind your weight. Okay? Because a lot of people burn their calories, do heavy cardio gym, but they still do not lose their weight. So you should first clearly understand why you have excessive weight. Okay? After understanding that, if you finally realize that it is purely based out of lifestyle, okay, not any other medical complications. If it is purely a lifestyle related issue, then diet, irrespective of whatever exercise you do, ma'am, you should do diet. Take balanced diet. I'm not saying go on diet. I'm saying have a nutritious, balanced diet. That's the number one thing. Second thing is, if you have observed the entire yoga session, we started the yoga session with breathing and loosening. And those breathing and loosening sessions are like cardio. Okay. Now, I will not tell you like a blank answer of do cardio or don't do cardio, because people who have overweight, they generally have issues with their knees. So if you are overweight and if you go on 30-minute treadmill or 30-minute of this thing, you should be very careful of your knees. Okay. Because already your knees are bearing a lot of weight. And on top of that, if you add speed to it, it might lead to other issues. So first understand the reason behind your weight. And if it is lifestyle related changes, lifestyle related, combine diet with yoga, you can definitely do cardio and all, but only after your weight has come under some control. Okay, yes. You definitely need to do cardio, strengthening and all, but that shouldn't be your day one.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Can I ask one more question? When you do pranayamas that involve the nostrils, usually the nostril length is a little small, right? So how does it help our entire body with the nostrils join at a particular point? Mm-hmm. So how does it actually help our entire body? It's something I couldn't
So
understand.
It actually, pranayama has nothing to do with your nostrils. It has to do with your lungs.
Okay, yes.
It has to do with your lung. So whether your nostril is small or whether your nostril is big, that is not what we are trying to do in pranayama. In pranayama, what we are trying to do is to restore your lung to 100% capacity. Because in our daily life, usually the lower lobes of the lungs never get used. Because we breathe rapidly. We don't breathe slowly, consciously. It is said the tortoise has the best breathing in the world. Out of all the animal family, tortoise has the best breathing. That's why it lives for 400 years. that we as humans, we breathe somewhere between a rat and a tortoise. So our lifespan ideally is supposed to be 100 years. So whether your nostril is small or large doesn't matter. As long as your inhalation is fast and your exhalation is slow. Your inhalation and exhalation ratio should be 1:2. It means you are using your full lung 100 capacity. That's why you see here these stories where the rishis could go for 10 minutes without breathing. That is not magic. They are not magical people. It's just that they breathe when they take one breath. Their lung gets 100% filled. And because their body is so strong, the oxygen gets completely assimilated into the body. What are antioxidants? Antioxidants are nothing but oxygen which was not used in the body, which gets left. But for a good yogi, the entire oxygen that they breathe gets assimilated into the body. That's why they don't need to breathe. Even if they don't breathe for 10 minutes, nothing happens to them. So it's not the nostrils, it's the lungs.
Thank you so much.
I have a small question because usually in yoga, we all cover from top to bottom, like from head to toe.
Yeah.
But for the dental health, actually, so is there any specific exercise or pranayama or anything like is associated with that? Because a lot of people, they gradually forget to maintain that properly.
Actually, there are lots of asanas, and I won't call them actually asanas. There are kind of like Sukshma Vyayam for your teeth. And there are also some pranayamas which will help you for your teeth, actually, teeth and good oral health. Unfortunately, we couldn't cover them in this session, but there are pranayamas and Sukshma Vyayam for good oral health. Yes.
Is there some names? Can you just give some names?
Names is you can. Actually, they are just called Sukshma Vyayam, that's it. But the other pranayamas, I would always, don't ever Google and learn anything in yoga. Because the major problem with Googling and learning I won't say just yoga, any form of exercise, don't Google and learn it. If you're learning online also, learn it like this, where you can actually have a teacher with whom you can interact. Why? Because no human bodies are alike. Even if you're a twin, like similar looking twins, still your bodies are different. So never Google something and learn. But there are like Sukshma Vyayamas which you can do for good dental health. But the best dental health practice is brushing twice a day.
Thank you.
And not eating anything after 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. It's good for any health. Don't eat anything. Actually, you shouldn't eat anything after sundown. But I'm sure with modern lifestyle that's not possible. But definitely don't eat biryanis and all this at midnight, 12 o'clock. No. Absolute no.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe changing from paste to using paste. The natural tooth powder will help a big time.
Yeah, maybe,
because I can talk about my own experience. Yeah, natural tooth powder. Try to do it, and before sleeping and brush your teeth. These two helps a big time for the oral.
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Madam, just a small doubt. The last pranayama you did, I missed the name of that pranayama. The
Bhramari.
Back.
Bhramari.
How do you spell it, ma'am?
Bhramari.
Bhramari.
Bhramari, Bhramari, or humming the pranayama.
And how many breaths we need to do, madam?
5.
5, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I have a question. Hello, hi. This is Rahul, UK. When you do pranayam, you showed the breathing technique. So sometimes your one nostril is blocked. Is it very important that both nostrils have to be open? When you breathe, it need to be through the both nostril, and in and out should be through both nostril, or through the one nostril is also okay?
Are you talking during pranayama or in general life?
In general also, sometime when we do the exercise, it gets blocked. Now when you were showing, anulam vinolam, yeah.
So actually, I don't have any scientific theory to prove it, but it's been found that apparently in our body, at any one point of time, only one nostril remains active.
Okay.
So even in our regular life, we only breathe through. That's why they say do it 9 times, because it's been found that after 9 times, the nostril switches. You can read up on all these theories and all, but that's why they say do it 9 times. But you should let all this happen natural. You don't control anything, because the nature which created this body is super intelligent and it's super smart beyond any of our smartness which we can think.
Absolutely.
So let your body breathe the way it wants to breathe. But in Anuloma Viloma Pranayama, which is called alternate nostril breathing, you always have to close one nostril. Exhale through the other, inhale through other. Close that. Then exhale through opposite and inhale through opposite. But in your regular life, do not do it. In your regular life, let your body do it by itself.
Okay. Yeah, because see, sometimes you have a cold and because right now we have hay fever in UK and your nose gets stuffed. It gets blocked, basically.
Yeah, Mr. Rahul, Srini
You can try Jalaneti.
Right?
Native part you can try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
That, but that is really help. I mean, that personally that helps me, and you can do twice also, right?
Because here we are also in the same pace, we have the springtime. Whenever the springtime comes, we have the pollen allergy, and nostrils like easily get blocked in the mornings and nighttime. So after like Srini Garu's recommendation, we started doing this neti part early in the morning, as well as like in the evening also. Whenever you go out and come inside the house, you are collecting that pollens. So he suggested that one, and it really worked out good.
But always, sorry to interrupt, but always I should say, please don't learn it from Google how to do neti, because if you learn it incorrectly, the water will go. You will actually, it is problematic. Okay.
Yeah, Rahul ji.
Please learn it from a professional. How to do the Jalaneti correctly, because it's just not water. The water should be at a certain temperature. You should add salt to it. And also, please learn from sir properly. Don't just Google it and learn it. Don't pour water into your nostrils.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I know once Srini, when he was in UK, he did showed, but I was not present at that.
That's actually good. Jalaneti is actually quite good, especially for any kind of nostril blocks that you have.
Thank you.
We'll do one of the sessions, Jalaneti, how to do it. Maybe that's a good way to do it, to learn.
Yeah, that's good.
Evening session we'll arrange. I'm just noting down.
Yeah.
For COVID also, it helps a big time doing, practicing all of us to do Jalaneti, because every doctor is suggesting mucus. If it is really, stuck inside, that is where it gets multiplied. So first thing we need to do for COVID precaution, to get rid of mucus wherever it is, from the ears, from the nose, from the mouth, like wherever it is. So please try that, but we'll have a session so that you can practice it. We are distributing here from Manavata the free Jalaneti parts to a lot of people, just to tell them, please use it, it will help. And asthma patients also, it will help.
The other thing which you can do, sir, if you have stuffed nose, is practice Kapalbhati Pranayama. Kapalbhati Pranayama also helps in clearing up the mucuses. Okay? So Kapalbhati Pranayama is excellent, but you should avoid Kapalbhati Pranayama if you have any heart problems or if you have BP. Hypertension people should never practice Kapalbhati Pranayama if it is an uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension. If you are uncontrolled, you are in medication and all, it's fine. But unless you don't have these two problems, Kapalbhati again is very good for people who have sinuses and also who have this hay fever and the springtime blockage and all that stuff. It's quite helpful. Kapalbhati.
That's good. Okay. Thanks.
And a quick note for everyone. Sorry.
This is Neeraja, and a quick note, if anyone in US wants a Jalaneti pot, I have so many from Manavata. So I can distribute them.
Could you please leave your
Yeah, thanks, Neeraja. So that's
email address?
That's great. I think the West Coast people, they can contact Neeraja or Kumar so that they can get this spot. This is very important. Actually, every house must have, I should say. And the states recommending 2 times a day, morning and evening. This is very, very important, and people are neglecting. And Rahul, you have asked the question about the nostril blockage. Was naturally shifting the breathing is different, and the nostril blockage you are talking about is because of the cold or any phlegm or those things naturally we must clean. Of course, that is the reason kriyas are suggested before doing the actual practice of the pranayamas or any yoga asanas. The kriyas are must. So without the kriyas, you are not eligible to do the yoga. So that is what Lord Shiva in Hatha Yoga, he said. So unless you clean your body, and what it means is the kriyas, the shat kriyas, first you do the kriyas, and then completely clean yourself, the respiratory system and the digestive system, then you are eligible to learn yoga. The next step is next. First is to practice yoga. The basic requirement is a personal hygiene, the cleanliness. It is a must. Those people who are just by the name, using the name, we are doing yoga without cleaning, it doesn't sound like yoga. So that's why yoga means it's basically the after cleaning. First you have to purify. The physical purification must be done. That is very, very important. So this is very easy. I think you have learned in Milton Keynes when we have done the session. So continue doing the morning and evening. The warm water and salt, very simple thing, and gargling. And if you want, if you have a problem, try to use the steaming. That is another way to clean. But try to, at this COVID time, steam you can use, this one you can use, but you must clean, keep nostrils clean.
Recently. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And other important thing is for nostrils keeping clean, and whatever you do, your food makes the difference. That is why make your food as right. Yes. So food is very, very important. Sometimes people neglect the food. For example, if you have a oily food or a sugary stuff, so that blocks your nostril. So that is basically based on your food only. Why it is mucus is formed? Because of your food. So that is why food must be changed. So once you are change your food, there is no mucus. So for me, I don't see any nostril blockage in many times unless we go out any pollution stuff. So that kind of a thing. The only external things are making the difference. So that is why any problems like that, try to use this for cleaning, but try to change the food to make it suitable to remove those mucuses. The formation of new mucuses within the lungs and within these things happening because of the food only.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lavanya. Wonderful session. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinny. Thanks, Bhavani.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for arranging. Thank you.
Shanti. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Srini. Thank you, Srini.
Thank you. Lavanya, thank you very much for